Good morning and sliding the afternoon. Nana here, also known as Judy Allen with Adventurous Stampin'. And today we're going to be doing an alternative to the Farmhouse Florals kit. Now, I have a slight headache, but it's driven by sinuses, so I'm hoping it leaves soon, right? Because we still have warm weather. I don't know what's going on and out in the air in there, but it's a lot of stuff going on in the air and out there. So, with that, let's go on down to the hands, and we're going to show you what we're going to do, all right? Because it's easy to make alternatives, and I want you to know that, right? It doesn't matter which kit, there's always an easy way to make alternatives if you don't want to do the same one over and over. So this is the alternative we made last week, and we actually used a swiping technique using the ink spot, and then we also had inked around the edges of the way out here as well too. You may also call it chalking, as somebody calls it, some people call it. And then here are the ones that were actually from the kit following the directions. So today I decided I wanted something, I was going to do fall colors, but I thought let's go ahead and do something springy, bright and cheerful, right? Because we're still dealing with 90-degree weather here, and we will for a little bit. So what I've done is I've taken 4 1/4, this is Daffodil Delight by 11, and we're going to use it as the base. And then I've actually taken the card that was in the kit, I just sized it down. So I sized this down to a 4-inch. So the width is 3.5 inches and 4 inches on the other side. And it's going to fit right here, but we're going to add some depth, right? So we can actually add depth by either doing layers, or we can emboss, or we can ink. So we're going to actually do some ink here to sit there and make it, give it some depth. And I'm actually taking this stamp out of the set. And what we're going to do, so we have choices. And I was going to do an easel card, and it wasn't working out for me. So we're gonna play around on it just so you can see some differences in colors, right? So actually, lots of times I'll use the same color as the card stock. So this is Daffodil Delight. Looks like that cracked. And then we're gonna just sit and do like this. So I just want to show you, right? It's all about choices. So this is one choice, right? We can sit there and just take Daffodil Delight and stamp the color straight on the paper itself, right? Our next option that I brought was Versamark. Versamark is a clear water-based ink pad, stamp pad it says there. And what it is, it's just literally clear. I'm going to shut this here. I'm not sure if this is cracked or not. It looks like it was on the inside. I'm not sure. Alright, this is just clear. So normally what I use this for is, if I'm going to use embossing powder, I want to heat emboss, I use it. But I have also used it for this too, because I'm just looking for a subtle image. Now you see by using that how much more subtle it is. It's going to have to dry. It takes a little bit longer to dry than regular ink. And the other color I brought to try out, which I got other colors here too, is Crushed Curry. Because I wasn't really trying to take away from the yellow. I wanted the yellow to accent the actual what we're creating, right? So that's why I just stuck with this color. I can show you what it would look like with pecan pie. Because keep in mind, it doesn't matter what the ink color is, you do need to sample it on where you're going to stamp on, because it doesn't mean it's going to stamp in that color. Right? So this is Crushed Curry, and it's one of the Regals, and it's just a richer color, right? It's a richer color of yellow. And you stamp this on. And see, you really, in my opinion, you really can't tell much difference between the Daffodil Delight and the Crushed Curry when you stamp it directly on the paper. Do that one more time. See, it really doesn't. Actually, this almost looks a little bit darker, which is sort of strange because when you look at it, right? Here's Crushed Curry, and here's Daffodil Delight, and I just used Crushed Curry. So go figure. All right, I'm just gonna do one more color, and then we're gonna stamp the background, right? We're just gonna stamp the background, so it's just gonna give it. It's gonna give it a little dimension there, just from the looks of the ink, right? And so let's just use pecan pie. And the reason I tell you to always test on the paper first, because sometimes when you're stamping a color on colored paper, right, you're not gonna get the color, right? Because you're not stamping on white. So this is pecan pie. Now see, that's just a light brown. If I stamp this on white, that's the color of it. Let me do that one more time for you, can see, because that was like a second stamp off. But you can see with the color right here, as I ink it up, see how that was, when I stamp it. All right, so you can see the brown there. Here, I'm not sure what it looks like, but it doesn't look brown like that right there, right? It looks like a little different color. So I wasn't looking for a drastic change, I just wanted a subtle change. So actually the Versamark is a little bit more subtle than I want it to be. So I'll either, it doesn't matter, right? I can use Crushed Curry or the Daffodil Light because they both look the same when stamped. All right, so I'm going to clean this off. And I'm just going to go ahead and use Crushed Curry. For some reason, that one looks like it, this one looks like it's cracked. It doesn't on the outside, but on the inside it is. I have to double check that out. Okay, let's go ahead and we're just going to do some stamping here. Now I already know I'm going to give this to you. I have, you know, may not know, I was in the newspaper industry, right, at 30 years. That's where I retired from. And no, I was not a writer. Everybody always wants to think I was a writer because of the newspaper business. I was not. I was actually started off in circulation. That means you get your newspaper delivered to your home. Or business or single copy. Have you ever seen single copy racks at stores or whatever? Then that's exactly what I was responsible for, and I oversaw that division. And then later on, I swapped over into advertising. Yeah, became an ad director. So yes, 30 years, right? And I moved, I followed my career. We got married, we followed my career. Wherever it took me is where we went. Okay, see, I'm just giving this a nice accent so it's going to give a little depth here. That's all we're trying to do. And I'm just going to go around, because if I remember correctly, this covers most of it. And this one here, so see how I'm going to come to the edge here? So all I'm going to do, looking for my post-it note that's not written on. Let's see, here we go. You can really use anything. I don't think there's another one under here. No. Okay, let me just then grab this. Handy piece of paper with notes on the other side. So yes, it was funny because somebody the other day wrote down, they asked me, I told them I was retired, and they put writer in the newspaper. And it's like, well, I did write a couple of articles, and I was in there a couple of times for achievements, but no. Writing is not my deal, but I can get newspaper delivered, right? I can make sure you get your newspapers. I don't know about you, but I actually had a newspaper out when I was a kid. That's back when, you know, they had kids doing deliveries. I don't know who's doing that nowadays, but anyway. Okay, there we go. So I just put a border around it. Let's see if that's going to be enough. Right, because I'm just making it look like we got something else we put there. This is how I'm going to sit there and create my own, right? You want to create your own paper. What we call it, like we do designer series paper. Now see how this is going to give it a nice little look and everything else. So all I'm going to do now is put some adhesive here. Like I said, lots of times making alternatives are very easy. Right? It's just taking what you have in the box and changing things around, or just creating something different, right? So anyway, yes, I do know about writers, since I did write an article or two for the newspapers. I moved around with my career, so I've worked with several different newspapers. It was fun, right? You get to go learn new people, new cultures, and if you want to get promoted and move up, that's basically what you have to do, right? All right, so we're going to do like we did when we did the main thing. We're going to put this right here. We're going to put it up on dimensionals. But first, I'm going to stamp this, because this is going to go right inside, and I'm going to sit there and anchor it down with a dimensional. So yeah, life is an adventure, right? No matter what your adventure is, it's still an adventure. Having a headache is even an adventure. I can breathe, though. I can breathe. I can say I took my allergy pills today, so I can't blame it on I didn't take my allergy pill. Yesterday I didn't. I had a headache yesterday, and it was like I forgot to take my allergy pills. And we're on air quality alert, so that was fun. That was fun. That gained me a long nap. All right. Let me close this here. So this is just gonna slide. We're just gonna slide this. If you didn't see how we did this, we did our Zoe and I did this. We sat there and just put it in just like this, which is really cool, right? It gave her and I the opportunity to talk about typewriters because she has not had to experience a typewriter. So there you go. I'm going to put a dimensional back here because when I put the dimensional back here to hold it in place. Yeah. In fact, she does everything on computer at school, so they don't even do keyboarding. Thought maybe they'd at least do keyboarding or something. All right, so it's going to fit. So we're going to do it just like we did on our first card. We're just adding the accents, right? So I'm just going to put this on here, and I can put another dimensional. So it's too funny because, you know, as I explained to her, one time when I lived in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, there was a lot of flooding going on, and especially in Des Moines. And so they actually, because a lot of the times newspaper plants are downtown, right? So they had flooding. And the thing was, they weren't going to be able to use the building or anything. They didn't have electricity. So they not only didn't get to use their computers, they got to go and try to find manual typewriters. So there you go. Yeah. All right, let's add some flowers here, just like we did on this one. And then we're going to add some stuff on the inside, all right? There's nothing reason why you can't decorate on the inside. Let's go a little adhesive right here, because we're going to decorate on the inside of both. So actually, when we created this, I'm not really seeing that flower, but I'll put it right there. So we actually created two cards, right? So we can type a message in here, and we can type a message in here too. So there, yes. Yes, I cannot believe that I can still smile with a headache, but I can. All right? The world hasn't ended. It's still daylight, and I know I'm alive, right? Because I can feel it. Actually, I can feel it when I breathe. So that's how I know I got a sinus headache. So there. All right, so I'm just going to put this here. And yes, we'll put Wink of Stella. We'll put some Wink of Stella there. But I'm going to go ahead and accessorize some in here as well, too. Actually, wanted to go ahead. They have these little, so this looks just like the ones I did all around the card, except they're just in threes, okay? So I was going to add some here. Yeah, I just opened mine from one side because that way it acts like a flip top. So that's just an easier way to do it. I know some people cut theirs off all the way, but then you're having to pull it off and it's not attached. And I like mine attached. So I'm just going to put one here. I should have just left it. Well, that's the only thing, you can't leave it open, right? That's okay. I do the same thing up here. Sort of going to make it look the same, right? But I'm not a machine, so everything's not going to look perfectly the same. It'll look similar, but not the same, right? All right, so I'm going to put that there. Then on this one here, I'm just going to add some flowers, and I'm going to add that as well, too. So you could do the same thing to the envelope, right? We have the envelopes that match, so if you wanted to. Now, I don't know that I would put one of these, I would stamp a flower. I don't know that I would put one of these looser ones here. I'm just going to put this right here. And I'm going to come up the top here. And I'm going to put one here. I'm just going to do it opposite what I did on the other side, except the fact that I added flowers, right? So it's just simple, right? Just something simple that we can take straight from the kit, make a few alterations, and make it happen. All right? So we're just going to add our Wink of Stella. I had it handy. Yes, I did. Just add it to the flowers. I'm not picky. I can sit there and add it here. And I can go here and add it as well, too. I just touched all the little flowers, right? Just to give every little flower a sparkle, just like they would be in the morning, right? If you went outside in the morning, first thing in the morning, they'd all have like a little dew on them. Even if you haven't had rain, right? They always seem to have a little moisture looking on them. And I'm going to come inside and do the same thing, right? Okay, there you go. Now I'm going to take an envelope. I'm not going to put flowers on the envelope, but I'm going to keep with what I just did. So let's get the envelope here. Yeah, I have it handy here. You say they all have the same thing. So they all have the same thing on the back here, right? So all I'm going to do is take it over here. And I'm just going to add some of this right here. That's all I'm going to do. I'm just going to add one little right here because I can. All right, it's just going to give it just a little extra touch, and it's just going to all go together. So here we go. We just touch the envelope, right? And here we just made a double card. We set there and stamped around the edges there because I knew it was going to be hidden. And then we put a sentiment there, and then we open it up and we put a sentiment there. It's just that easy, right? That's what we want to do, is make something quick and easy that you can use from the kit. So I hope you enjoyed that, right? It's all about creating, sharing, and giving, and going out there and making a difference in someone else's life. And I know somebody's home right now, so I can send them this envelope and card, and they will get it before they head out of town again. So there you go. I'm a woman on a mission today. With that, have an amazing weekend. Go out there, create, share, and give. 'Cause that's how we make a difference in other people's lives, right? By touching one life at a time. And I want to thank you for supporting us not only here, but also on YouTube and Instagram. With that, be blessed. Have an amazing weekend. I look forward to seeing you next week with Teach Me Nana. Bye.